Israeli occupation proposes an evacuation plan for civilians from areas of fighting in the Gaza Strip. The Red Sea escalation expands with the European Union stepping up efforts to end the Houthi attacks. The Houthi militia continues to target populated areas in Taiz. Welcome to Yemen Today TV. This is the English news of me, Shazad Abdelbaei. A Palestinian news agency reported that 4 Palestinians were killed in an Israeli bombing that targeted a house north of Rafah in the Gaza Strip. The agency also reported that 2 people were killed and 13 others were injured in an Israeli bombing of a house east of Khan Yunis. Israeli forces also blew up residential buildings near the Nasser Medical Complex and launched airstrikes on a Zaytuna neighborhood southeast of Gaza. United Nations Chief Antonio Guterres regretted the UN Security Council's failure to respond to the war in Gaza and Ukraine, saying that the 2 conflicts had perhaps seriously undermined its authority. At the opening of the UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, Guterres said that the UN Security Council was unable to act on the most significant peace and security issues over time, adding that the Council needs serious reform to its composition and working methods. Human Rights Watch accused Israel of failing to comply with an order by the World Court to provide needed aid to desperate people in the Gaza Strip. The organization noted that the average daily entry of trucks into the sector in the past weeks decreased by 30%. The condemnation comes after a month after a landmark ruling in The Hague ordered Israel to do all it can to prevent death, destruction, and any acts of genocide in Gaza. Palestinian Prime Minister tendered his government's resignation on Monday in a move that could open the door to U.S.-backed reforms in the Palestinian Authority. President Mahmoud Abbas must still decide whether he accepts the government's resignation. The move signals a willingness by the Palestinian leadership to introduce reforms that the West views as necessary to revive the Palestinian Authority. Israel's military presented the war cabinet with a plan for evacuating the population from areas of fighting in the Gaza Strip with the upcoming operational plan. More than 1.4 million Palestinians, most of them displaced from elsewhere, have gathered on the last Gazan city untouched by Israel's ground troops. This report has more details.
Israel's military proposed a plan for evacuating civilians from areas of fighting in Gaza. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office announced it Monday, after he said a ground invasion of the Palestinian territory's southern city Rafah was necessary. The statement didn't give any details about how or where the civilians would be moved. The announcement comes after Egyptian, Qatari, U.S. experts met in Doha for talks, also attended by Israelis and Hamas representatives. State-linked Egyptian media reported the latest effort to secure a truce before the Muslim holy month of Ramadan. Israel's ally, the United States, said ongoing mediation efforts produced an understanding towards a ceasefire and hostage release, while a Hamas source said the group insisted on the withdrawal of Israeli forces. Netanyahu, however, dismissed the withdrawal demand as delusional and said a ground invasion of Rafah would put Israel within weeks of total victory. Amid a spiraling humanitarian crisis, the main United Nations aid agency for Palestinians urged political action to avert famine in Gaza. Philip Lazzarini, head of UNRWA, warned that the dire food shortages in northern Gaza are a man-made disaster that can be mitigated. He added that genuine political solution is needed to grant access and protection to meaningful assistance. The United Nations has said it faces restrictions, particularly on aid deliveries to northern Gaza. Nearly 5 months into the war, desperate families in Gaza's north have been forced to search for something to eat. Israeli forces have continued striking targets across the Palestinian territory, killing at least 29,800 people in Gaza, mostly women and children.
Of today, over 100,000 Gazans are either dead, injured, or missing and presumed dead. WHO has faced great difficulty even to reach hospitals in southern Gaza. Heavy fighting has been reported near hospitals in Khan Yunis, severely impeding access to health facilities for patients, health workers, and supplies. During a UN mission on Monday, WHO delivered medical supplies to Nasser Medical Complex. Other missions to deliver fuel and food were denied. Despite challenges, Nasser Hospital continues to offer health services, although at reduced capacity. The hospital is operating with a single ambulance. Donkey carts are being used for transporting patients. Yesterday, we made another attempt to get food to Nasser, but due to delays, the food was taken from the trucks by crowds who are also desperate for food. Our teams on the ground report increasing food shortages for medical staff and patients, with only one meal per day. The risk of famine is high and increasing each day, with persistent hostilities and restricted humanitarian access. We continue to call for safe access for humanitarian personnel and supplies, for the hostages to be released, for health care to be protected and not attacked or militarized. And we continue to call for a ceasefire.
A German Navy ship arrived in the Red Sea after passing through the Suez Canal, as announced by German armed forces on the X social media platform. The ship is going to join the EU-organized operation in the Red Sea as spies. The UN mission intends to protect shipping in the Red Sea against missile attacks by Yemen-based Houthi militia. The U.S. said Houthi militants fired a missile late Sunday, targeting a U.S.-owned tanker ship in the Gulf of Aden. U.S. Central Command said in a statement that the missile fell short of its target without causing any damage or injuries. The actions came a day after U.S. and U.K. forces carried out their latest strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen, including hitting weapons storage facilities, air defense systems, and drone systems. Most British exports have felt the disruptions in the Red Sea due to Houthi attacks on shipping, according to the British Chambers of Commerce. 55% of the exports, as well as 53% of manufacturers and businesses to consumer service providers, reported disruption. Overall, 37% of businesses reported an impact. Some businesses reported container hire costs had doubled 4 times, while others faced delivery delays of 3 to 4 weeks, as well as cash flow difficulties. U.S. military forces and allied nations have attacked Houthi land targets over the weekend. As part of the EU naval defense effort, the European Commission is stepping up its efforts in the region, intercepting drones coming from Yemen. This report has more details.
The battle for the freedom of navigation in the Red Sea has expanded with the entrance of a European Commission naval defense effort in the past week, and more U.S. and allied strikes against Houthi land targets over the weekend. But until the moment, combined military efforts have not deterred rebel attacks. United States Central Command reported that the USS Mason shot down one anti-ship ballistic missile launched into the Gulf of Aden from Iranian-backed Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. Central Command said the missile was likely targeting the U.S.-flagged owned and operated chemical oil tanker MF Torm Thor. The ship was not damaged and there were no injuries. Defense officials said there have been at least 59 attacks on commercial shipping interests in the Red Sea. Last week, the European Union's Naval Force Operation Aspides joined the French Navy operation along with U.S.-led Operation Prosperity Guardian to protect the freedom of navigation for ships in the Red Sea. The European Commission naval operation is a complement to Operation Prosperity Guardian. The intelligence gathered by Aspides is being shared with both the French naval operation and OPG. On Saturday, U.S. Central Command forces alongside UK forces and with support from Australia, Bahrain, Canada, Denmark, the Netherlands and New Zealand conducted strikes against 18 targets in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. These strikes are separate and distinct from Operation Prosperity Guardian.
A young man was killed in a Houthi explosion in Ajov. According to a local source, the young man was killed by a mine explosion while driving along the desert road. The victim, who was shot, also was returning from the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia to fast Ramadan with his family. Abdul Halim Mahyoub, 18, was hit by sniper fire from the Houthis stationed at the Central Security Camp in Taz. The shooting happened while the young man was delivering water to his house and resulted in an injury in his left hand. He was then transported to Athora General Hospital to receive the necessary treatment.
I was delivering water to my home when Houthis stationed at the Central Security Camp and sniped me. 2 bullets lodged into my arm, while the rest missed me. I was surrounded for 2 hours before I was rushed to the hospital. I can see my exposed bones.
Massam project for clearing mines in Yemen dismantled more than 700 mines, including 134 anti-tank mines and 585 unexploded ordnance. Since the beginning of the project, more than 400,000 mines have been dismantled. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, represented by KS Relief, seeks through the project to clear Yemeni lands of the mines that were randomly planted by the Houthi militia. A doctor was seriously injured after Houthi gunmen stormed his house north of the capital, Sana'a. According to local sources, Houthis raided herbal doctor Yahya Ali's home early Sunday morning and shot him, which led to injuring him. According to the report, the Houthis attacked the doctor's wife when she tried to deter them from shooting him, breaking her hand. Coming next in the news. The Yemeni government launches immunization campaign to protect 1.3 million children from polio. Welcome back. In its weekly report, the International Organization for Migration in Yemen revealed the number of families that have been uprooted since the start of the year. The IOM said that from January 1 to February 24, its displacement tracking metrics tracked more than 500 families with more than 3,000 people who were displaced at least once. This week, the IOM matrix tracked 21 families with 126 individuals who were displaced at least once. The numbers indicate that the country is still experiencing daily displacement, the majority of which are from regions that the Houthi militia controls. Local sources reported that the Houthi militia prevented a Salahi commercial group from distributing annual food aid to thousands of poor and needy families. According to the sources, the militias are trying to force the businessman Salahi to hand over food aid to the Houthi-controlled Zakat Authority. The militia's hampering of aid delivery sparked outrage among civilians who have been suffering with a lack of income and the plundering of their salaries by the Houthis for 8 years. The Yemeni Economic Corporation's annual Ramadan display provides people with an opportunity to pick up Ramadan essentials at discounted prices as high costs and limited supplies threaten to rob Yemenis of the holy month's joy. This report has more details.
The opening of the annual Ramadan exhibition of the Yemeni Economic Corporation in the city of Taiz is an opportunity to purchase the necessary products and goods for the holy month of Ramadan, where a wide range of diverse local products are offered at competitive prices to reduce burdens and suffering on the citizens.
تم تدشين هذا المعرض.
This exhibition was launched with the advent of the holy month of Ramadan and with the Foundation's inauguration of similar exhibitions in all liberated areas, which aim to alleviate the suffering of citizens due to the extremely high prices that the country is facing at the moment.
Citizens are visiting the Ramadan tent in large numbers to enjoy the unique shopping experience that the exhibition provides. Some express their happiness and satisfaction with the Ramadan exhibition, while others believe that the economic challenges and high prices during the conflict has affected the ability of families to meet their basic needs.
The exhibition met many of our needs. We bought the basic commodities such as rice, flour and sugar. When we compare the prices here with the other prices at the local markets, we find the prices are very appropriate. The prices here are very reasonable and affordable, not like other traders in the public markets.
The Ramadan exhibition is not considered the final solution to the economic problem that the majority of families suffer from. Rather, it is considered an attempt to provide products with competitive prices to alleviate the suffering of citizens.
Yemeni expert Abdullah Muhsin revealed the presence of 4 bronze lions dating back to the ancient kingdom of Ma'in in an Israeli museum after an Israeli antiquities collector obtained them from Al-Jawf. The lions were a symbol of authority in the kingdom of Ma'in, dating back to the 6th century BC. He said that they are part of a large collection of Yemeni antiquities that the Israeli collector collected in his life. He explained that these antiquities were smuggled from Yemen illegally. Some were sold at international auctions, while some were displaced in foreign museums, representing a great loss to Yemeni and Arab heritage. In its latest polio vaccination campaign, WHO has worked closely with the Ministry of Public Health and Population to ensure the vaccine is going to be brought to the doorstep of every house in 12 Yemeni governorates. This report has more details.
1.3 million children aged under 5 years will be protected against polio in a vaccination campaign launched today with the support of the Global Polio Eradication Initiative, the United Nations Children's Fund, and the World Health Organization. The Ministry of Public Health and Population aims to reach every child. UNICEF and World Health Organization are assisting by providing the vaccine through cold chain storage and providing funding for training and deployment of vaccinators for the campaign targeting 12 governorates in Yemen. This vaccination campaign is in response to an outbreak of variant poliovirus type 2, which to date has paralyzed 237 children across Yemen. Polio infection can result in permanent, unbearable paralysis. It has no known cure but can easily be prevented through vaccination. UNICEF representative in Yemen stated that for Yemen's children, vaccination offers much-needed protection in one of the world's most challenging contexts. The teams have been working around the clock to train vaccinators and make sure the cold rooms and solar fridges are working and cold boxes are in place to keep the vaccine cold from the moment it arrives in Yemen until it reaches every girl and boy under the age of 5 years. It is not enough to tell parents why it is important to vaccinate their children. In Yemen, parents are dealing with conflict, economic crisis, and extremely limited public health infrastructure and services. Access to vaccinations need to be improved. Mass immunization campaigns aim to boost population immunity in a context of increased risk. This polio campaign comes as children continue to be paralyzed and as testing of wastewater shows the presence of poliovirus in communities. The campaign aims to give girls and boys aged under 5 years an extra boost of protection.
Here's a reminder of the main headlines. Israeli occupation proposes an evacuation plan for civilians from areas of fighting in the Gaza Strip. The Red Sea escalation expands with the European Union stepping up efforts to end the Houthi attacks. The Houthi militia continues to target populated areas in Taiz. This is the end of the news. Thank you for watching.